Welcome. It is Tuesday night. You know what Tuesday night means. It is Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka night. I'm so excited to be back. This is my second week back after my self-care hiatus. So yes, I am committing myself to doing the things that I tell you and that I tell my patients. Because one of the things I have recently realized is sometimes I need to take my own advice, and I have a feeling I'm not the only one. I have a feeling that all of you out there have times where you're telling people stuff, or you're coaching people, or just all kinds of places that you're giving advice or giving assistance or leadership, and then you realize maybe I should do that a little bit myself. So as I said, I took 4 weeks off. So this is my second week back. Totally excited to be back. Now, as people get in, I want to tell you a little story. So you see my little button here. Wait. So I voted because today is election day. This was actually, ironically, the first time I actually voted at my polling place in years, because I usually early vote. But this year, my schedule was doing wonky things. I just didn't quite get it together to get there in enough time to early vote. Each time I went, there was a long line, which is great because there being a long line means people are voting, because voting is really important. It's one of the things that we have to really assert our beliefs and what we need in our communities. So the one thing that's also neat about this election is, I know for us down here in Georgia, in Atlanta, this was a lot of local government decisions. And as we all know, a lot of the policies that we all deal with start at the local level. So I hope you all voted. I hope so. If you're on the West Coast, it's probably not too late. If you're on the East Coast, you may be getting on the edge because some of the polls close at 7. If you're in the Midwest and Central, you're still good. All right now. So today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons you need to recognize burnout. I'm going to break down why you need to recognize it and then all the good stuff. Are you ready? But let me just tell you first who I am. I am Dr. Ericka, Harvard-trained, double board certified psychiatrist and integrative lifestyle coach. I am on a mission to help people be better, do better, and live better. I do that through my adult telepsychiatry, my books including Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, my speaking, and my podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. You better take a listen. I would love it. I do all of that to help busy people like you that give and give and give and give some more, nothing you don't give to yourself, to help put you back into your life. I want to help you get to the point where you are the center of your story. You are the captain of your own ship. You're not in the place where life is happening to you and you're doing everything for everyone else. I want you to be able to feel like your life is actually yours, not that it's almost like a subletted to the whole rest of the world. So let's go ahead and get to it. So as you come in, do me a favor, let me know where you are coming from. I got a couple of housekeeping things. The first thing is, if you know someone that needs this, please tag them. Tag. If you know someone that needs this, share. Sharing is caring. Can you do that? And if you're watching it later, put a hashtag replay. Now, what I'm going to do really quickly is we're going to just double check and make sure we are live on the interwebs, because sometimes the interwebs do what the interwebs want to do. And sometimes what the interwebs want to do, it's not what I want the interwebs to actually do. So we are going to just quickly make sure that we are active on the interwebs. And guess what? It looks like we are active on the interwebs. So we did the housekeeping. So let's go ahead and get straight to it, because I'm not going to keep you here all day. So today we're talking about 5 reasons you need to recognize burnout. You might want to know, why are we even talking about this? Well, it's probably not a secret. If you've already listened to the podcast that released last week, you would know that I have recently been dealing with recovery from burnout. And just like a lot of professionals, this is not the first time I've dealt with burnout, but this is probably the first time I had a full complement of language and the resources to really immediately do something about it. So it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, because if you'd asked me, 2 years ago, would I be feeling totally burned out? I would have said no. And the crazy thing is, I got burned out doing things that I love. And I think for me, when I thought about burnout before, it was kind of like when you feel like you're just doing stuff, you don't like it, you don't want to do it, but you got to do it. You just do it and do it. And I realized for me, what struck me was that when I started feeling burned out, it wasn't a situation where I was just doing a whole bunch of things I didn't want to do. I was doing things I wanted to do. I just wasn't necessarily managing them in the best way. So it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart because it's something I personally experienced. The other thing is just it feels like it's the other parallel epidemic. As we talk about, we had the pandemic with COVID. We talk about this kind of epidemic going right with it as far as mental health. But the other one that we're not talking about as much is burnout. And honestly, I know a lot of colleagues that have burned out. It's just whether or not people are in a place that they either recognize it or they feel comfortable talking about it. But so many people are experiencing it because with this pandemic, a lot of people's work responsibilities have gone up, their home responsibilities have gone up, they're stressed out about everything going on, but you still need to do it all. So let's go ahead and get to it so I can get you out of here. So, as I said before, we're talking about 5 reasons you need to recognize burnout. And the reason you need to recognize it is so that you can do something about it. Now, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're burned out or someone you know or someone you work with, because this affects so many people that number one, it will help give you the grace and the understanding to be able to support others around you, especially loved ones. Will also give you the grace and understanding to be able to understand what may be going on with people that are your colleagues at work or even people that work for you so that you can support them and meet them where they are and still have a positive work experience. The next thing is naturally, you want to be able to help yourself too. So, you ready? Let's do this. So, the first thing is why you need to recognize it. It doesn't feel good. No one wants to be freaking miserable. So, the longer it takes you to recognize burnout, the longer you're probably going to be exhausted and not feel good. And the other thing is, the longer this goes on, the more exhausted, the more tired, the more blah, the more irritable, the more of all the feels you get, the longer it goes. So, one of the reasons you want to recognize it is it doesn't feel good and it's exhausting. And when you are exhausted, you're tired, you're irritable, and you are just done and used up, it can turn you off from your career or loved ones. You could be in a situation where the career you've actually chosen isn't necessarily bad. It may be related to the current position or just other current circumstances, and you get burned out. And if you stay burned out too long, you may think the burnout is because you just hate what you do. And it may be that you just need to do what you do differently or you need to do it somewhere else. But if you don't recognize it and it goes on too long, you might get turned off from an entire career. And that may not initially have been your path or your path. The other thing is we talk a lot about burnout in the context of work and school, but the other place burnout shows up a ton is with caregiving. So the thing is, if you get burned out a long time on your loved ones that you're caring for, you might be turned off from them because they wear you out. You're tired. You just don't want to do it anymore. You might not want to do them. So one reason to recognize it is because it can turn you off of these things, and that may not necessarily be your past. And that's on that same vein is it can impact your interpersonal relationships. So if you're totally burned out, one of the things is that it's kind of exhaustion, apathy, and just feeling drained. If you feel exhausted and you're feeling apathetic and your empathy level is low and you're irritable and frustrated, you're probably not going to interact with people in the healthiest way. So it can impact your interactions and the quality of interactions and how you even deal with interacting. It could be the difference between a professional email and one that's just going off, or you just like, I don't give a whatever while you're communicating at work, or you're so burned out and you're exhausted, you have nothing left to give, and then you're not engaging with your loved ones, including your partner, your kids, people you're taking care of, your friends. So it can actually impact your actual relationships. So it's really important because who wants janky relationships? Because we're all human beings, and one of the things that comes with being human, even if you're introverted, is some level of connection. The thing is if you become really burned out and you don't recognize it, those connections are going to start getting severed. But what happens when you start getting isolated? You feel worse and they start compounding. And thanks for coming, Dr. Ken. It is lovely to see you. The next one is we talked about relationships. Let's go to number 4. It can sneak up on you. So just like anything, the more you know, the easier it is to see it. because burnout's one of those things that it doesn't usually hit you like a ton of bricks. It creeps up in there like one of those little ghosts in those little stories. It just kind of creeps up, kind of cuddles and snuggles next to you. And by the time you realize it, it's so easy to realize it late after it's already got you in a bear hug. By being able to recognize it is it helps you catch it earlier. And just with anything else, the earlier you catch something, the easier it is to find solutions. And also, if you're in a work environment and you're dealing with your employees being burned out, the sooner you recognize it, the sooner you can put programs, protocols, and interventions in place to help the overall mental health of your employees, which will assist you in retention and also employee satisfaction, which will keep you from paying all that money and using all that time to retrain and recruit new employees, because nobody wants that. That ain't fun. Number 5 is it can lead to other mental health issues. Now, to me, this one is extremely important because there are times where people are like, am I depressed or am I burned out? And what happens for some people is they become burned out so long and it gets so intense that then they start feeling depressed and anxious. And so some of these things, if they go on too long, you can transition into a whole nother mental health issue. And who wants that? Nobody wants the depression. Nobody wants the anxiety. You don't want that. I don't want it. I don't want it for you either. So one of the reasons you want to be able to recognize it is you want to cut it off, get it taken care of before you get to the point where then you're dealing with depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues because this is compounded for so long. Now, what is the bonus? The other reason to recognize it is that sometimes burnout is the thing that shows you what's up for your next season. Now, we talked about earlier that sometimes burnout can just make you feel so burned out you just don't want to do something. That is a little bit different than getting burned out, re-examining, and then realizing that your purpose and your passion is elsewhere. And sometimes with burnout, it makes you take a step back and get more clarity on what you actually really want to be doing, which may be something different. And then it ends up being the catalyst for shifting into a new season. So that's one of those things where burnout itself sucks, but potentially the new season may have you in a situation that's actually better. And the other thing about shifting seasons is sometimes the recovery from burnout will help you end up in a place better than you actually started with ahead of time. Because one of the reasons you need to recognize this is burnout doesn't cure itself oftentimes. For burnout to be helped, you need to find the root cause of what is going on. And that's why I oftentimes say self-care isn't the cure for burnout. And it's one of the reasons why people sometimes say self-care doesn't work, where sometimes we're asking self-care to do things much more than self-care has the power to do. So I want you to be armed with enough information to be able to recognize burnout in yourself, your loved ones, your colleagues, the people around you, so that you are prepared to support them, but also to support yourself. Because to move out of burnout into recovery, it takes action. It's not something that accidentally happens. It's going to take action. So a lot of times you have to recognize it and then you have to come up with a plan. And, let me know if you want me sometime to talk about the plan. But, the little thing too is that last podcast episode, I actually tell you what my personal recovery plan from burnout is. So I think you better check it out. So thanks again for coming. Again, if you know someone that needs this, please tag them. If you know someone that needs this, please share. Sharing is caring. And the last thing is, if you're watching it later, don't even worry about it. Don't stress at all. This is low stress time. Just hit hashtag replay and let me know you were here. If you have any comments or anything, please feel free to put them in. I will still circle back. The other thing, I think it's really important to share this kind of information because people are feeling so tapped and so exhausted right now. And I feel like the more people are able to recognize potential things that are going on, then it makes it easier to get help. Because like we talked about numerous times on this show about recognizing when you need some mental health assistance and recognizing if you have burnout. And sometimes for burnout, Sometimes you'll use a coach. Sometimes you'll use some other physical intervention. Sometimes you may also use a therapist. But to figure out who do you need to put in the team and what tools do you need to use to heal. Because at the end of the day, the goal is for you to feel healed and for you to be in a place that every morning when you wake up, the thought of sliding your feet over off the sheets and place them on the floor is something you look forward to. That is not something you dread because you're like, if I once I put my feet on the floor, I can't get back in the bed. I want you to want to get out of the bed because you know there's something good is waiting for you when you get out of that bed. And that's my goal for all of you is I'm here to put you back in your life. And part of the ways about doing that is helping you to put together your whole self, because we talked about that better seven, those 7 essential areas that you need to have that life that you deserve. And I want to put you in the middle of your life and help you hold space for you, help you learn how to make those boundaries to hold that space, and help you find the support you need so that others can help hold that space and nurture that space in you. So that's what I got for you today. Again, I am Dr. Ericka, Harvard trained psychiatrist, double board certified, also an integrative lifestyle coach. I'm so passionate about helping people be better, do better, and live better. I do that through my adult telepsychiatry practice. My books, including What's Behind Me, Fix Your Fairy Tale, A Woman's Guide to a Great Life, Love, and Legacy, my speaking, and my podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. I do all of that to help busy people like you that show up for work, you show up for your friends, you show up for your family, but you often don't show up for yourself. And you also find yourself looking around and figuring out nobody showed up for you. I do this so you show up for yourself. So I'm here to put you back into your life. So today we're talking about burnout. I want to share with you so that you can see it. If you have not seen it yet, let's see if we can find what I'm looking for. This is the episode that released last week. So it's addressing burnout for better mental health. It features Dr. Jarrett Patton, who is phenomenal. I want to encourage you to go to your favorite podcast platform, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible, iHeartRadio, or just go to betterthepodcast.com and subscribe, follow, and check it out. You will not be sorry. And you'll also really enjoy the episode that dropped this week was eating healthy for better health with Dr. Monique May. So you're going to love that one too. I actually really enjoyed doing it. So I just want to encourage you to check out the podcast. That way you can get a little bit of me on other days. Again, this is Dr. Ericka. I am here to put a little extra love in your life. We're doing Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka tonight. New episodes come on at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So check me out next Tuesday at 7. And again, I have my podcast, Better with Dr. Ericka. If you want to catch me in the meantime, feel free to binge it at any time. New episodes for that also drop on Tuesday. So Tuesdays is like my day. Everything happens on a Tuesday. We going up on a Tuesday. So I want to encourage you to check out the podcast. I also want to give you your homework. Make sure you call at least one person and tell them that you love them. It would help fill their love bucket and also provide support for you and for them. Can you do that for me? I know you can do it. I know you can do it. So I just want to send a little extra love and say happy Tuesday. I want to also just quickly just say, I am so blessed to have the opportunity to spend this time with you, but this time would not mean the same if you did not join me in this space. So I want to give a big round of applause for all of you for joining me in all of my spaces and helping to give me energy and also giving me grace when I needed to recharge. So thank you for giving me that grace. Now I challenge you to give yourself the same grace. So I'm out of here for tonight. I will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern again. In the meantime, just catch the podcast. That is what I got for you. I feel like I should have, I feel like this is one of those days where everything feels like it's in weird spots, like not the spot I'm looking for. So going across the bottom, just a reminder where you can find the podcast. Can you see I want to listen to podcasts? All right. And quick thing too, we've been talking about a lot of mental health topics. If you or someone you know has some mental health challenges or just needs a mental health checkup, you can always feel free to check out my site, askdrgoodwin.com, askdrgoodwin.com, scrolling below to look into my telepsychiatry. So I'm really excited to be able to support you as the psychiatrist and to be able to provide direct patient care, but to also be able to be present for you and hold space for you in this communal time where you're not actually my patient, but we are joining in this experience of humanity together. And I am helping you with the journey to get to your best self. So that's what I got tonight. Night.